Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we're starting a new series. It'll be one I do yearly. It covers the state governments. And I'll be doing it every November, throughout every December through January. And we will be talking about every state government as far as everything they have, how many members in power, the legislature, and of course we're going to start off with Alabama, because it's the first state alphabetically. It is in between Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee, I believe is that blue one above it. But yeah, Alabama itself is very similar in the way the U.S. government is set up. Bicameral legislature, chief executive, cabinet, House representatives, Senate in the bicameral legislature, and then of course it has a few extra electable executive positions. See if I can get those pulled up here in this. Yeah, elected executive officials. So it's not just your governor and lieutenant governor. They say lieutenant governor instead of vice president, as is the case with most of your governors nationwide. But yeah, independent executive officials that you go through electing. Of course, like I said, you've got governor, lieutenant governor, state attorney general. This is usually always a big one as well. State auditor, secretary of state for the state itself, state treasurer for the state, superintendent of education, and commissioner of agriculture and industries are the ones listed for Alabama. Usually you'll see governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, auditor, secretary of state, and treasurer. I don't know about the rest, how common they are, but yeah. So, like, I live in Virginia. We just recently had our off-year elections because Virginia does its elections in a year different than others. New Jersey is the same way. New Jersey. But I know we elected governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. Now, each state had the governor controls a National Guard, so kind of their own military. Lieutenant governor establish all special and standing committees, appoint chairpersons and members to those committees. Like we mentioned earlier, governor has cabinet members. judicial branch. They have a Supreme Court. Pretty much every state does. In Alabama, for example, Chief Justice and 8 Associate Justices. It's the highest court in the state. They have a court of the judiciary. Like I said, we'll be talking about the legislative branch in a moment. House of Representatives, the Senate. Very similar to the U.S. government. Alabama, apparently, though, its process differs somewhat than the other 49 states in making laws. Each bill may only pertain to one subject, which must be clearly stated in the title, except general appropriations bills, general revenue bills, and bills adopting a code, digest, or revision of statutes. Bills are referred to standing committees by the Lieutenant Governor and the President pro tempore of the Senate, and by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The Constitution of Alabama states each House shall determine a number of committees, and the numbers of committees vary from quadrennial session to session, every quarter of a year. Is it every quarter or every 4 years? Quadrennial. Anyway, quad is dealing with 4. It might be every 4 years. Regardless. So they go through some slightly different changes in the way they create laws. But for the most part, a lot of their setup is very similar to the United States in the way everything's set up. Like I said, so just an overview of how Alabama's government works. Let's look at the executive or the legislative body, and we have, like I said, the 2-part bicameral legislation: Senate, House of Representatives. Your Senate President, very much like the U.S., here, the Senate President is the Lieutenant Governor, and the U.S. government in general, the Senate President is the Vice President, who sits as a tie-breaking vote. Your head of the Senate, President pro tempore, and head of the House Speaker. Current Senate President Will Ainsworth, Senate President pro tempore Harlan Gudger, and current House Speaker Nathan Ledbetter. Also of note, his vote is in, it is in the Senate in the U.S. as well. I was wanting to say it was in the House. I was about to make a mistake, but yeah, it's in the Senate as well. Alabama's Senate. U.S. Senate is 100. Alabama, being a state, has far less and currently has 35 members in the Alabama Senate. It being a very red state, has a majority Republican. 27, as a matter of fact, to 8 Democrat. Very, very Republican. Very red. Again, a reason I feel we should not be having a two-party system. We should have 4, 5, 6 parties. And be forced to work together. Their House of Representatives has 105 members, which means there is 105 districts representing Alabama. Remember, in the United States House of Representatives, it's 438. Yeah, 438. So Alabama has a House of Representatives 105. 76 are Republican, 29 Democrat. Very red. I don't know if they do offsets as the U.S. does in electing their senator or anything like that. I don't think they do. Because it looks like they do every 4 years. 22 for the last Senate and the last House of Representative elections, and the next one will be in 26. So, yeah, 4-year terms for both houses, apparently. I know in the United States, it's the House of Representatives every 2, and the Senate in separated 2-year terms. But anyway, let's go ahead and also start naming off some of the members of who are in positions of power. The Alabama Supreme Court. Chief Justice is Tom Parker. Associate Justices, Tommy Bryan, William B. Sellers, Michael F. Boland. They've also got Tom Parker here as an associate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Unless there's 2 Tom Parkers. Let me pull this up as a separate... Oh, not what I meant to do. I wanted new tab. Supreme Court, Alabama. History. Jurisdiction. Chief Justices. List of all Chief Justices that have led the Alabama Supreme Court. Current Justices. Okay, apparently Tom Parker was, but now it's a Sarah Hicks Stewart, who is the current Chief Justice. Sarah Lynn Stewart became Chief Justice over Tom Parker. So, yeah. So, your current Chief Justice is Sarah Hicks Stewart. Let's see. List of the current members of the court. All come to the seat via election except for 2 appointees. Your current Supreme Court Justice, Sarah Hicks Stewart, she became Chief Justice, and so the governor appointed a new Associate Justice to fill her seat. And then Tom Parker. So apparently Tom Parker might still be on the court itself. But anyway, Sarah Hicks Stewart, Chief Justice. Your Associate Justices, well, Greg Shaw, Elisa Kelly Wise, Tommy Bryan, Will Sellers, Brady E. Mendheim Jr., Greg Cook, Chris McCool, and Will Parker. So we've had a look at the Alabama Supreme Court and the Alabama legislature, how they work. Now let's look at the Alabama executive individuals. We have, where is it? Governor. These are the ones that can be elected first. Governor Kay Ivey, your current governor of Alabama. Your current lieutenant governor, Will Ainsworth. Your current attorney general for Alabama, Steve Marshall. Your current, I believe this was current treasurer for Alabama, Young J. Boozer III. Your current state auditor for Alabama, Andrew Sorrell. Your current Secretary of State for the state of Alabama, Wes Allen. Your current superintendent of I believe this is of schools. Yeah, EDU. Education, Superintendent of Education. Dr. Eric G. Mackey. And your current Secretary or Commissioner of Agriculture and Industries, is Rick Pate. These are the elected executive department members. Now, let's go back and look at Kay Ivey's cabinet. These are the members picked to serve under Kay for certain departments. The Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles, Cam Ward. The Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs, Brigadier General Retired Jeff Newton. And Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, Hal Taylor. Alabama Medicaid Agency, Bo Offord. Alabama National Guard, Major General David Pritchett. Alabama Office of Minority Affairs, Stacia Robinson. Alabama Alcohol Beverage Control Board, Curtis Stewart. Alabama Banking Department, Mike Hill. Alabama Department of Commerce, Ellen McNair. Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Chris Blankenship. Alabama Department of Corrections, John Q. Ham. Alabama Department of Early Childhood Education, Amy Brooks. Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, Kenneth Boswell. Alabama Department of Finance, Bill Poole. And Alabama Department of Human Resources, Nancy Buckner. Alabama Department of Insurance, Mark Fowler. Alabama Department of Mental Health, Kim Boswell. Alabama Department of Revenue, Vernon Barnett. Alabama Department of Senior Services, Gene Brown. Alabama Department of Tourism and Travel, Lee Sentle. Alabama Department of Transportation, John R. Cooper. Alabama Department of Workforce, Greg Reed. Alabama Emergency Management Agency, Jeff Smitherman. And Alabama's Office of Information Technology, Daniel Urquhart. So yeah, this is a look at the government of Alabama and the current members within. I didn't go over the current members of the legislation for the state because there's a lot. As is the case with the United States, there's a lot of members in the state legislature. Not as many, but still quite a bit. And so I didn't go over them. If you would like me to go over members of the House and Senate, the state legislatures, let me know. But I'm trying to keep everybody up to date on these because these are names you may or may not see in the future in national politics. And so it's people you can keep in mind. And also an idea of how their government works. But, yeah, this has been a look at Alabama. As I said, we'll be doing other states as we go along. These will be every December and January, since there's 50 states. 55 governments if I should look at the territorial governments that are occupied. But anyway, we'll go ahead and end this episode here. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these links and sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.